Why am I wearing my wedding veil? Because I just came back from grocery shopping, of course. Okay, no, I didn't, but I mean, that should be socially acceptable just to be able to wear your wedding veil places. I would knock them dead in the produce aisle. Anyways, a little while ago, I made a video on how to save some money by doing some alterations on your own bridesmaid dress by turning the zipper into a lace-up corset back. And that video exploded. So clearly this is what you all want to see, so I've made another one for you. This one is slightly different because I kept part of the zipper. So it's half zipper, half corset back. Good to have options. And this one is on a wedding dress. So hopefully this is coming clearer. I mean, any excuse to wear your veil again is a good excuse. And this video is definitely a more in-depth tutorial, especially on how to pin and the placement of the fabric. Save some money, do your own alteration. If you're ready, I'm ready. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm so excited. Thanks for being here. I do. Here is Dawn's fun and flirty wedding dress with the most adorable cape on the back, which has totally inspired me to want to try to make something in the future with a cape. Stay tuned. Dawn would like to keep the zipper intact to the waist and then turn the top portion into a lace-up corset with an open back. I've had luck with these prefabricated corset kits and I've ordered another one. These kits come with a modesty panel, and this particular one comes with 2 separate loop panels, which did not want to stay in place. With the modesty panel, that's more or less what it looks like. Oh yeah, and the kits also come with really long satiny ties. Here comes the tedious step of carefully seam ripping the zipper away from the fabric, and I'm going to speed this up because my camera was on some weird setting, but it corrects itself soon. This is the boring part anyways. Until finally I have seam ripped the zipper away to the waist. Do a quick thread cleanup job and we're ready for the next step. Tucking the zipper out of the way, I am experimenting with loop placement. This dress has a lining and an outer shell, and I've clipped the loops in between those 2 layers. With the loops in place, I want to eliminate as many of the unused bottom loops so that it doesn't show through the sheer chiffon outer layer, even though the cape will mostly hide it all. I will eliminate the bottom 2 loops, but will cut just above the bottom one for a neat finish. There is boning inside, and yes, I know I shouldn't be using my fabric scissors, but I did. And am now lining up the other side to make sure I cut it in the same place. Remember that bottom loop was not needed, so I am going to finish off the bottom edge by seam ripping just below that loop to set it free. Roll up the fabric to expose the boning, trim and round off the ends of the boning so that they don't poke through. Pull the fabric back down and fold the loop inside so that there is enough room for a standard rolled hem on the bottom, which just means folding the fabric over twice to hide the raw edges. Add a few pins and sew in place. After repeating this process on the other side, we can now fit our newly shortened corset loops in place to sew. This is the tricky part, so I'll do my best to explain. When you've lined up the top of the loops with the top of the dress, you essentially want to face the right sides together of the outer layer and the lining layer with the loops sandwiched in between. To do so, arrange the lining layer over the top so that the loops are sandwiched in between the right sides of each fabric layer. The fabric already has a fold from the zipper, which makes an easy guide for where to line the edge of the loops. As you start pinning, you should not be able to see the loops. The boning makes pinning a little more difficult. What I'm basically doing is sticking a pin through the zipper fold and then pin the loop tape staying close to the edge and avoiding the boning, and then making sure it aligns on the back through the same zipper fold. Once that is all lined up, secure the pin. The first one's the hardest. It does get a little easier as you go on. Just repeat the same process of pinning the zipper fold and then lining up the loop tape and then pinning through the back zipper fold. And secure the pin. I'll show that once again slowly. Hopefully by now you're getting the hang of it. And it's always a good idea to push the pin heads all the way in and turn the dress right side out to double check your work by making sure that only the loops are sticking out beyond the layers. Turn it inside out once again and repeat this process for the rest of the loop tape. Once all the pins are in place, sew with a straight stitch using the zipper fold as a guideline. Okay, moment of truth. Turn the dress right side out and look at that. It looks amazing with no visible stitches from either side. I will admit that it is tricky to line up the loop tape in between the lining and the outside layer, but I promise the end product is so worth it. So moving on to the other side, I have a better camera angle to once again show how to line up the loop tape to the top, and then arrange the lining layer over the top so that the loop tape is positioned correctly in between with right sides of the two layers together. Once again, pin through all three layers, lining up the loops in between the zipper fold lines. Double check your work by pushing the pin heads all the way in and flipping it around to make sure that only the loops are exposed. And then turn it back inside out to continue pinning in preparation to sew. I added a few vertical pins to help keep the three layers from shifting while sewing. Turn it right side out and both sides are complete. And as long as you lined up each side with the very top, they should match each other. The main part is complete, and there are just a few finishing hand sewing touches left. Now that the corset portion is mostly finished, make sure the zipper slider is all the way at the bottom before safely cutting away the top parts of the zipper, leaving about 1.5 inches extra. Before sewing up the gap just below the waistline, take the top end of the zipper and tuck it inside between the layers. The fabric will act as a zipper stop, preventing the slider from coming undone. Add a few pins and then hand sew the gap closed. Hide the knot and then take a small piece of the lining fabric and attach it to the zipper tape, making sure that the stitches do not show from the other side. Here is what both sides should look like after complete. Repeat everything on the other side, tucking the zipper tape in between the layers and hand sewing the gap closed. The zipper slider should be able to zip all the way up and not go beyond the corset. A few more finishing touches of hand sewing any gaps at the very top of the corset, and this wedding dress is complete with a beautiful new back. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video. One quick tip before the final reveal is how to hide a thread tail. After knotting off the thread, poke the needle in between the two layers and out about 1 inch, pull it tight, and then when you clip it at the base, the tail is invisible.